In a land shaped by hills and valleys, where the wind carried both dust and promise, there lived a people who knew the name of God and spoke of his wonders. They gathered at the gates to share stories of old, of miracles, deliverance, and covenant. But not all who spoke of faith truly understood its power. Among them lived a man named Caleb. He was neither young nor old, neither rich nor poor. His life was ordinary, marked by labor, family, and quiet prayers spoken at the beginning and end of each day. Yet Caleb carried within him a longing he could not name, a sense that there was more to faith than words alone. One year, trouble came upon the land. A sickness spread quietly from house to house. Crops failed in the fields beyond the river. Trade slowed, and fear took root among the people. Many prayed, but their prayers were hurried, spoken with trembling voices and uncertain hearts. Caleb, too, felt fear. He was not immune to worry. But when fear came, he did not push it away. He brought it before God. Each morning, before the sun rose, Caleb would stand outside his home and say, "Lord, I do not know what this day will bring, but I trust you." And each evening, regardless of what the day held, he would say again, "Lord, you have carried me." Others noticed his calm and wondered. One day, an elder named Abner approached Caleb and said, "Do you not see what is happening around us? How can you remain at peace when so much is uncertain?" Caleb answered, "I see the same things you see, but I choose to look beyond them." Abner frowned. "Faith will not change reality," he said. Caleb replied gently, "Faith does not deny reality. It places reality in God's hands." As the days passed, the sickness reached Caleb's household. His strength weakened, and his body grew tired. Some who had once admired his calm now shook their heads. "Where is his faith now?" they whispered. But even in weakness, Caleb prayed. Not for immediate rescue, not for explanations, but for trust. One night, as his fever rose and his breath grew shallow, Caleb dreamed. In his dream, he stood at the edge of a vast river. The water was deep and strong, and there was no bridge in sight. On the other side he saw green fields, light, and rest. Behind him lay darkness and weariness. A voice spoke, saying, "You must cross." Caleb looked at the river and said, "I cannot. The water is too strong." The voice replied, "Step forward." Caleb hesitated. "What if I am swept away?" The voice answered, "Faith is not the absence of fear. It is obedience in its presence." With trembling legs, Caleb stepped into the water. It rose to his ankles, then his knees, then his waist. Every instinct told him to turn back. But he remembered the words he had spoken so many mornings. "I trust you." He took another step. Suddenly, the water stilled around him. It did not disappear, but it no longer pushed him. Step by step, he crossed the river, not by strength, but by trust. When he reached the other side, the voice spoke again. "You crossed not because the river was weak, but because your faith was placed in me." Caleb awoke before dawn. His fever had broken. His breath was steady. Though his body was still weak, his spirit was strong. In the days that followed, he slowly recovered. And as he did, the people gathered around him, asking questions. "What saved you?" they asked. "Was it medicine? Was it luck?" Caleb answered, "It was faith." Seeing their confusion, he explained, "Faith is not a shield against hardship. It is a path through it. Faith does not demand proof before obedience. Faith trusts God even when the outcome is hidden." He said to them, "Many believe faith is only for miracles, but faith is also for waiting, for enduring, for standing when nothing changes." The elders listened carefully, and Abner bowed his head. Caleb continued, "Faith is powerful not because it moves God, but because it aligns the heart with Him. When faith grows, fear loses its voice. When faith stands, despair has no place to rest." The people began to understand. They saw that faith had not removed a river from Caleb's life, but it had carried him across it. From that day on, the people spoke differently. They prayed with expectation, not panic. They worked with hope, not despair. And when hardship returned, as it always does, they remembered Caleb's words. That faith is not loud, not proud, not demanding. Faith is steady, quiet, rooted in trust. And so the lesson was passed down through generations, that the power of faith is not found in perfect circumstances, but in unwavering trust. Not in knowing what God will do, but in knowing who God is. And blessed is the one who steps forward even when the path is unclear, who believes before seeing, and who trusts God not only for deliverance, but for the strength to endure. For such faith moves not only mountains, but hearts.